and welcome to the Water Filtration Experiment. My name's Fernando, Education Officer at Barwon Water here in Geelong. Thank you for joining me wherever you might be. We have a really fun activity planned for you. But before we get into that, I just want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of which I am today and wherever you might be. And I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. All right, so let's get into this. What we're going to be doing today, as the name suggests, is filtering water. So we're essentially going to try and replicate what Barwon Water and all the other water corps do in cleaning our drinking water. Now you may not realise, but our drinking water mostly comes from rivers, which starts as rainfall through the mountains and into our rivers and creeks that feed into the dams. At Barwon Water, we're really lucky to have a beautiful catchment out in the Otways, which provides us with amazing fresh water. Now that water does still need to be cleaned. It runs over rocks and dirt and does pick up lots and lots of different types of what we call contaminants. So what I have in front of me here is a sample of river water that I've created, and you'll need to create your own as well. And we're going to try and clean it and filter it and essentially turn it into tap water. So this is a sample of water from my kitchen tap from this morning. So it's a big ask. We've got lots of different bits and pieces that would help us along the way. We also have a lesson plan that you might want to download and print off or have up on a screen nearby so that you can follow. The lesson plan is a set of instructions which goes through how to create the filter, how to run through this activity, as well as a list of all the different equipment that you'll need. So let's have a look at some of the bits and pieces that we're going to be working with today. As I mentioned, you'll need to create your sample of river water. The best way to do that is just take some water out of the tap and add a small amount of dirt from your backyard. Experiment with different amounts of dirt and different amounts of water until you end up with a sample of water that you think represents river water. You might want to pause this video and go and do that now. So once you have your sample of river water, and we can set that to the side, we can then start to think about the filter and what we're going to use for the filter. Well, I have some bits and pieces here. And to start with, I have a plastic drink bottle. Now this is a 650 ml drink bottle, soft plastic, similar to a soft drink bottle, I guess. And you can use something this size or bigger. You might have a 1.25 litre bottle that you might want to use. Anything that's soft and that you can work with. You will need to cut this in half, and that's what the scissors are for. So if you need help with that, it might be a good time now to pause the video and go and grab an adult for some help. If not, carefully and safely cut through this drink bottle, and what you'll end up with is two halves. And I've got one here that I did earlier today. So this was my drink bottle that I cut in half and essentially ended up with a top half and a bottom half. And by turning the top half upside down and putting it on top of the bottom half, I've created the body of my water filter. Now, on its own, this isn't going to do much of a job. Clearly, if I pour my sample of river water into here, it's going to go straight through. So the object of today is to block the passage of the dirt, allow the water to go through. And the best way to do that is to use material inside our filter that has small holes. The smaller the holes, the better. Water will squeeze through those small holes, but the dirt and other things like bits of grass or rocks will get trapped. And that's how a filter does its job. So to my right here, I have quite a few different materials that I've found around the house. And this is what I'm going to pick from to put into my filter. I'm going to challenge you to only use up to 3 materials. You can try different combinations, but see if you can get away with just 3. So what I've found is a green sponge that you might have around in the kitchen to clean your dishes. I also have a cloth that can be used to wipe down tables, and we can see that this cloth has really small holes. So this might be a really good material to use in my filter. Also, the sponge has got lots of sized holes, so that's another good material perhaps. What else do I have? I have some cotton pads that you might find in the bathroom. So these can be used to take makeup off. So you might be able to find some of those in a bathroom. Tissue, straight out of a tissue box. So you may not be able to see, but tissue have got really, really small holes. So that's why I thought this might be a good idea as well. And I was also able to find in my pantry this old coffee filter bag. Now, not something we use these days anymore, but they used to be used a while ago to filter out coffee. So I thought that might be a good material to use in my filter. The last two things I have here are some gravel from the garden and some sand from a local beach. Now, the reason I've taken gravel and sand into my collection of materials is because I happen to know that at Barwon Water, we use sand and gravel to help filter our water. So I thought it might be a good idea to try and use one or both of these in my filter. So let's see how we go. Go off now, find different materials, and then come back and we'll build our filter. Okay, so hopefully you've got your filter, you've got your sample of water, and you've got your materials that you're going to use. So I've been thinking, and I think I'm going to need something as a starting point to hold everything else together. So the first thing I'm going to use is this coffee filter bag. So I'll pop that right in there, and that will create a really good base to hold up everything else that I put in my filter. I've got two more materials that I can use, and I think I'm going to use the sand, because I do know that sand is a really good filter media. And I do know that swimming pools have a sand filter. So I reckon that's a good bet. So I'm going to pour the sand in, and the coffee filter is doing a great job at holding that sand and not allowing it to pass down through the filter. So that's exactly what I want that coffee filter to do. Now I've got one more piece of equipment that I can choose to use, and you know what? I think I'm going to use these cotton buds. They have lots of fibers that crisscross. They create really small holes, and I think they're going to do a really good job at holding on and trapping some of the larger particles that will come out of this sample of water. I think the sand might help to trap some of the smaller particles, and I think the coffee filter paper will really do a good job in trying to stop everything else from going through, but still allowing the water to go through. So let's put our coffee pads, our makeup pads in right there. So I've constructed my filter. I have my coffee paper, I have my sand, and I have my cotton pads in there as well. So now comes the time where we pour the water into our filter. Now before we do that, I might put down a mat just in case we have any spills. It's always a good idea before you start working with water to put down an absorbent mat, and that way you won't make a big mess. So we're ready to go. We've got our filter, we've got our sample of water. Give it a good mix and pour it in. Now it may take a little bit of time for the water to start dripping through, but it will happen. So with a little bit of patience and a little bit of time, we should start to see that dripping through any minute now. And what we're going to collect in our bottom container is our filtered water. We'll let that go for a little bit and then we'll come back to it. While we're waiting, it's a good time to show you how Barwon Water filters the drinking water of Geelong. So our filters are very, very large tanks. And inside those tanks, we have three different materials. We have sand, gravel, and a specialized coal called anthracite. So the water comes out of the reservoir and passes into one of our filters, and then passes down through those layers of filter media. All of the dirt is trapped, and what comes out of our filters is nice, clear water. Now we still need to disinfect that water because it may have germs. So we add chlorine to our drinking water and fluoride before sending it on to homes. Let's see how our filter is working. So it's slowly dripping through, and I can see on the top some of the dirt has been trapped. We've got a little bit more to go, but we're definitely seeing some water coming out. Now you might want to build 2 or 3 different filters and try them out at the same time and see which one works faster and which one works slower. The smaller the holes, the harder the water has to work to pass through the filter. So it will take longer for the water to travel through that filter. So if your filter is dripping slowly, that's a really good sign that you've created a filter with really small holes and you're hopefully trapping more of that dirt and allowing the clean water to fall through. All right, I think we've got most of our water through. So at this point, you're going to need another container, a clean container, to transfer that clean water into. So I'll grab the original container that was my river water, and we'll put the filter in there just so it doesn't drip on the table. And then we will pour our filtered water into our clean container. So let's see how it looks. Here we've got our tap water, and here we've got our filtered water. So pretty close, but still has a little bit to go. And don't forget, we haven't been able to remove any germs that may have been in the dirt that you added to the tap water. So certainly I wouldn't be drinking this, and I don't recommend that you do. What I'm going to do with this is pour it back through my filter one more time and see if I can get it cleaner again. You might want to do the same thing, or you might want to swap out materials and try different materials and see what that looks like. But I'm going to pour this through one more time. Okay, we've let our river sample drip through our water filter for the second time, and it's been dripping for a few minutes. So let's see how it looks now. So you'll notice that some of the water's been held in the filter. That's okay, you will lose a little bit. And it is getting closer to tap water, but still not quite there. It's interesting though, the effort that it does take to generate tap water. So hopefully you have a better appreciation of how a water filter works and just how hard Barwon Water and other organisations work to get you your drinking water. Thank you so much for participating in the water filter experiment. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had lots of fun trying different combinations in your filter. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.